Hey, I'm Melissa from Legal Doer, and today I'm diving into the significance between contract templates drafted by lawyers versus templates from the internet. This is such a great topic because a free or a non-lawyer drafted contract template may look like a great alternative option, but really this is like comparing apples to oranges because they are not the same thing, and I'm going to explain why. By the end of this video, you will understand the difference between lawyer drafted contract templates and other online templates, and you will know how to wisely choose your DIY legal protection options. Before we get into it, go ahead and smash that subscribe button if you are interested in all things user-generated content, paid content creation, social media marketing, and creator-focused content with a legal twist. So let's begin. What is a contract template? A contract template is a blank, standard form that is meant to be filled out and used as a binding contract. It's often broad and includes basic legal terms that will serve as the foundation to your contract. At the most basic level, it's the draft version of the contract. And it's never meant to be used as is, but instead it's meant to be customized to suit your specific needs and unique situation. For example, a contract template may form the legal basis of your brand deal, but depending on what you have agreed to with the brand, you will need to then further modify that template for each new brand deal that you enter into. Because the contract template needs to be edited for each brand deal that you enter into, it's very important to know the significance of each of the terms that you've included so you know how to modify it. So you may be asking yourself, what are the advantages of using a contract template? The advantages of using a contract template means that you do not have to draft a contract from scratch. In fact, you don't have to draft it from scratch each time you enter into a brand deal. And you don't have to hire an expensive lawyer to draft one for you. And you're able to compare your template to the brand's contract to determine whether you want to make any modifications to theirs or if you'd like to include certain things in the final contract. Contract templates are also great at reducing business costs because you do not have to hire a lawyer to draft the contract in the first place, but instead can modify the contract to your needs and then have a lawyer review it, which greatly reduces the impact on your budget. Now you might be asking, well then what are the disadvantages of using a contract template? The major disadvantage of using a contract template is that it is not a custom contract drafted by a lawyer for you and that particular brand deal. Therefore, you may run the risk of including boilerplate text or legal clauses that are not suitable for your particular use. Worse, it may not include important terms that you didn't know that you needed. It may also expose you or your creative business to liability risks should you miss these key terms and include terms you didn't mean to or that you didn't actually understand. That is why it is so important to use contract templates strategically, like purchasing a contract template drafted for your unique niche by a lawyer who knows your industry. So now what about online templates from other creators or free ones that you can find online? Now, these are great if you already know all the legal terms that need to be included or not included, and you are confident and legally savvy enough to modify them for your needs. For each new brand deal, you will need to edit your template for that specific deal. If you don't have the legal expertise to modify them without having a guide or assistance, then I caution you from buying non-lawyer online templates. These will likely give you a false sense of security and major legal headaches down the road. One of the biggest dangers of using contract templates is that you may be using the wrong form. For instance, you may try to use a service agreement, but that may not cover the same thing as a UGC contract. And the same thing goes for influencer contract. The contract terms are just different and they protect different rights. Blindly using a contract template without understanding the legal impact of each term or signing a contract from the brand without reviewing it can cost you exponentially more money than the price of a lawyer drafted contract template or hiring a lawyer to review it. As the saying goes, cheaper isn't always cheaper. There truly is no one size fits all when it comes to legal contracts. When you simply purchase an online template from another creator or use a free one from online, you run the risk of that contract missing key legal terms or including terms that contradict one another. Putting a ton of legal terms together doesn't mean that it was done correctly. Contracts are meant to protect you, but if you don't know what you don't know, and basically you don't know what's missing or what's been included, you run the risk of entering into a legally binding and legally enforceable agreement with the brand and potentially creating legal obligations that you never intended to. For example, you may have agreed to pay the brand's attorney's fees and any judgment if a third party has sued the brand after seeing your ad and it was for something that wasn't even your fault. That $150 deal may have just cost you 50 grand. Be cautious when taking legal advice from non-lawyers. You'll want to purchase a template that explains what was included, why it was included, and how you can modify it to fit your needs. So what about contract templates that have been reviewed by lawyers? The problem with templates that are only reviewed by a lawyer or vetted by a lawyer is that you don't know who wrote the template and you don't know who the lawyer is. This is important because not all lawyers are created equal and not all contracts are made for your intended purpose. I would ask, what area of law does this lawyer practice? Does the lawyer know about UGC creators? Does the lawyer understand the legal aspects of paid content creation? Was the contract drafted for a UGC creator or an influencer creator or a hybrid creator? What did the lawyer review the contract for? Was it for general UGC work? Was it for a specific brand deal, which may or may not apply to you? And does the lawyer who reviewed it also provide guidance as to each of the legal terms and its significance so that you can then go and modify that contract yourself? Not knowing the answers to these questions may lead to the omission of important language in your contract, which can either make or break your contract. Basically, the template is not guaranteed to apply to your situation or to be complete simply because it was lawyer reviewed. And that's generally the reason why people state that a contract has been lawyer reviewed, because it gives you the impression that that template is trustworthy or complete or it's going to protect you, when that may not be true. Really, it's unfair to the lawyer who reviewed the contract, and it sets this unreasonable standard for all parties that are involved. Just because a lawyer reviewed it doesn't make it complete, doesn't mean you'll be able to understand it and modify it, and may simply mean that it only includes the basic foundational terms and not terms specific to your niche or situation. In the end, a contract reviewed by a lawyer may include wording that's too generic, and it costs you a ton of money and time if the brand decides to take advantage of that. What is the significance of getting a template that has been drafted by a lawyer? I can only speak on behalf of myself and the templates that I've drafted, although I would highly recommend going with a lawyer drafted template if you cannot afford to hire a lawyer to draft you a custom contract for you because of all of the reasons I've already mentioned. But in addition, the significance of getting a template that's been drafted by a lawyer is that the contract template is more likely to be specifically tailored to your niche, which means it's more likely to include necessary legal clauses meant to protect you. Again, you'll want to look at who the lawyer is that drafted the template. Do they have an understanding of UGC, paid content creation, and do they know business and contract law? A lawyer drafted template should also cover all possible scenarios along with guidance on how you can go about modifying that template for each situation. For example, in our UGC bundle, we include a contract template that has more of a if-then situation to ensure you can fully customize the template for each brand deal that you go into. For instance, next to, say, the exclusivity or non-exclusivity section, we would include instructions that if you are a UGC creator and not posting to your social media platforms, then include this clause, which would be the non-exclusivity portion. However, in an instruction, we would say if you're being paid to post the content to your social media platform, then instead include this clause, the exclusivity portion. And depending on your choice, delete the other one. This type of if-then instruction is done for all the negotiable and variable terms that may apply to each new brand deal, while other legal clauses that are the quote-unquote foundational legal terms are ones that will likely be included in a majority of your contracts, but we also provide insight into the legal significance of those so that you understand why they've been included. Instructions on how to modify your template are essential. Without this legal guidance, you run the risk of including terms that don't apply to you. For instance, you may accidentally include an exclusivity clause as a UGC creator simply because the contract template had included it for a different creator and was reviewed by a lawyer who either didn't understand influencer or UGC marketing, or who reviewed it for a creator who, unlike you, was acting as an influencer instead of a UGC creator. You are now legally prevented from entering into another brand deal with a competing brand or product, even though you are not posting the content to your social media platforms. And this can cost you a ton of money and deals that shouldn't have been an issue. That is the point of having a lawyer draft a contract template. It's to provide you with the knowledge to modify the template for each brand deal, or to have the confidence to then negotiate with the brand to edit theirs. It's vital, especially when preparing your own contract or negotiating with a brand over their contract, to understand your rights. You will need a solid understanding of how your rights are being protected under the contract and by which terms. You'll also need the legal wisdom to know how to modify the brand's contract, which is why simply having a template without more puts you at a severe legal disadvantage, one in which the brand may exploit to their benefit. At Legal Doer, we offer a UGC Bundle and UGC Bundle Plus, which includes a lawyer-drafted contract template drafted to protect you, UGC content creators and hybrid creators, that is fully customizable and explains the legal significance of each term and how to easily modify it. We've also included an outline of key terms to make sure that you discuss those things with the brand during negotiations, and to then ensure that those terms are also covered in their contract. Now you may be asking yourself, well, what is the difference between custom contracts and contract templates? So what is the difference between a custom contract and a contract template? Well, a custom contract means a lawyer drafts the contract for you, the creator, and that particular brand deal. It's used one time and it covers that situation only. They're more of a one and done type of deal and do not get updated or used again unless you pay that lawyer to review and revise it. And yes, you have to pay for each revision for each new brand deal. The best part though about this is that you have a lawyer that is there to assist you in identifying what terms should be included, what is a non-negotiable, meaning when you should walk away from the deal if the brand pushes for something else, and what terms to be flexible on. And the lawyer is there to really walk you through it all and guide you. Custom contracts are the best option, but the biggest downside is that they can cost anywhere from $500 to $2,000 on average, depending on the lawyer's hourly rate, which is oftentimes not in the creative's budget. This is the reason that contract templates drafted by a lawyer has become so appealing to online creatives. If you haven't seen it yet, watch this video.